Yeah, so I grew up in a home that ended up in divorce. My parents split up when I was young. And, that had anybody that goes through that, that has an impact on how they perceive the world and the things going on around them and so on and so on. And so I grew up in some level of poverty, with my mom and my brother. And when I was 19, I was going to a church and the pastor preached a message, and I just believed that I needed to go forward and ask Jesus into my heart. So I did that. And I just felt this sense of joy, this sense of, I had a smile on my face that you couldn't wipe off for 3 hours, just like a Cheshire cat, a big grin on my face. And so that was a real starting point for me. And then, sometime after that, some issues came up and I kind of fell away from the Lord. The Bible talks about the seed falling in different types of ground. And I think in my case, I just didn't have enough of a good root in the Lord to keep me planted there. And so I kind of wandered for a little while. And then in my middle, I met my wife, my now wife, and she had just become a Christian. And my own spirit recognized that joy and that peace in her that ultimately I was looking for. We all look for God in different ways before we know Him, and people get involved in a whole bunch of different things. And so that was my case. But I do remember that God was drawing me just before we met. And I remember, going to the bar and looking around and thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Like, I don't really belong here. This is not what I should be doing with my life. So God was kind of taking the scales off my eyes. And when I met her, it was just, really prominent to me that I need to give my heart back to the Lord. So I did that. And so since that point, like life has its own burdens and struggles and challenges that we all face. But through all those things, Jesus has always been faithful to reveal himself to me in ways that I can understand him and to help me to draw closer to him. So now I'm super passionate about hearing his voice. I'm really trying to plug into tuning my ears to the frequency of his voice, just like you would tune into a radio station or something like that, because that's so important.